Cool. All right. Well, I'm stoked to have everyone here. This is probably like the first time I've done I don't know, a presentation like this with for tree works. So this is new to me, and I'm very excited. I am talking about longevity for tree work. So that means taking care of your health, but that's also not just your body and your physical health, but your mind, your well-being, and your soul. So I talk about some ways that can help you recover faster, some ways you can move better, and also in a sense like have a greater love for what you do, because like in my opinion, when I feel better and when my mind is clear, when my body feels good, I truly have more love for the things that I do at work and outside of my life, because I just you feel better when your health is, at its top of game. So why is it important? Obviously our health is super important in life. It's our body is our way that we experience the world. It's if our body isn't functioning well, like we truly can't do our work to the best of our ability. Like as tree workers, as climbers working on the ground, like it's a very physical job. And, if we can't move the way we want to, if we're in a lot of pain, if our mind is tired or we're stressed, we truly can't do our job properly or to the best of our ability. But when our health is top of game, when our mind is clear and our heart is full, like our body is strong, like we make smart decisions, we work well, we work efficiently, we'll work much faster, we'll work smarter, and we can get up the next day feeling great to do it again. Um, what I first want to kind of talk about, when it comes to health, there's so many different ways I could go with it. But first, I kind of want to just explain our nervous system and then how that relates to tree work. So, our nervous system, we have our parasympathetic nervous system and our sympathetic nervous system. So, our sympathetic nervous system is what's considered our flight, fight, or freeze. This is our body's natural stress response. And when our body gets stressed, it's not unhealthy. It's something that we've had forever that is what keeps us alive. So, for example, if someone were to maybe cut us off in traffic and it startles us and we have to like quickly put on our brakes, our body releases cortisol. Our body goes into a sympathetic nervous system state. It's like a high stress moment, but a healthy nervous system should then be able to, after that stress has mitigated, so you're safe, you're driving, everything's good, you should be able to go back into a parasympathetic, a calm state. But typically, in the way our society functions in North America, or I mean, even in just typical modernized day, we end up living a lot of our day in a sympathetic state. So a very high stress state. We stay stressed for a lot of our day. We, especially with tree work, when we're using saws, the work that we're doing, even though we might not necessarily feel that we're overly stressed, like holding a saw that's vibrating, like we are literally sending vibrations, which can stress out our nervous system, and our body is and our mind is always on, and it's always kind of on a go mode and not on recover and relax and restore mode. And when our body stays in this sympathetic state, it's mobilizing a lot more nutrients because our body thinks it kind of needs to prepare for something. And it makes it harder for us to recover. We break down a lot of our energy reserves. It makes it then harder for us to make clear decisions. It makes it harder for us to be strong, and it eventually can lead to illness, and we're more likely to injure ourselves as well. So on the other side of that, we have our parasympathetic nervous system. So this is our rest and digest state. This is where our body recovers, we get stronger. And sorry, I'm kind of jumping all over here because I don't really need to follow my notes when it comes to the nervous system, but I don't want to get too off topic. But yeah, so the parasympathetic nervous system, that's our rest and digest system. And like I was saying, the challenging thing with tree work is that it's often very stimulating. and especially when we're trying to hustle, we're working hard, we can stay in a sympathetic state for a lot of our day. Ideally, we want to be in a parasympathetic state for most of our day. So like 90% of our day, we should really be in this calm, rest and digest state, feeling clear, centered. But often we stay in a sympathetic state. So a good way to kind of first take note of how you're spending your day is you can make a chart and have parasympathetic activities on one side, sympathetic activities on the other side, and just start by kind of reflecting on how are you spending your day. So some examples of some sympathetic activities for me personally would be on a typical work day, I get up and do some cardio and like a strength workout to get my body ready for work, which even though that's a good stress, it's still a stress on our body. I have a lot of business admin work and I often am kind of in a bit of a stress state when I look at the emails, trying to get everything organized. And then a lot of times during my day climbing, tree climbing, doing groundwork, that like physically active, complex thinking can be a sympathetic state as well. So then for parasympathetic, I make sure I meditate every morning. So that would be, something that helps me recover, calm my mind. I do mobility. Mobility is a great way to move your body without it being a sympathetic stress. Also, I have under my list is like my breakfast and my dinner. The thing about when it comes to your meals, they can be either a sympathetic stress for you or a parasympathetic, depending how you're consuming your food. So if you're like shoveling your food really quickly before you're going to work, you're still in a sympathetic state and you're not going to properly digest your food. And it's kind of just adding into, it's still going to get nutrients into your body, but you're not going to absorb them in the same way. So really making sure that you're eating mindfully, eating slowly, then that can be a parasympathetic activity. And then I do journaling before bed. I make sure I have a calm routine before bed. So that's some parasympathetic activities for me. But just by doing that chart, you can kind of see like if you truly just like get up, maybe do a quick workout, go to work, drop your kids off, quickly eat dinner and go to bed, like you are truly like in sympathetic for a large portion of your day, and your body eventually is just going to keep breaking down to the point where like you're going to need a big time off. You're going to need a lot of sleep. Like you need to be able to balance out that stress with recovery. So when it comes to health and making steps to improve your health, to recover better, to feel better, I kind of focus on 6 different areas. And these are in no particular order. They're all really important. They all impact each other. And when it comes to looking at these areas, you don't necessarily need to make changes to every single one. It's looking at, okay, which area am I lacking the most in? And where can I start by just making some small changes to improve my health? So the 6 areas that I like to focus on are nutrition, hydration, movement, breathing, sleep, and mindset. So I'm going to go through each one. I can give you guys some specific tips that I find helpful for doing tree work. And yeah, so for nutrition, we obviously all know it's really important to eat healthy. It's important. It's really important when it comes to doing tree work to consider how you're fueling your body. I know often we can get busy. A lot of us are business owners, or it's just, we do a lot in our lives, and we often maybe sometimes get food. People might get food, like pick food up on the way to work, not necessarily have a healthy lunch, not always bring enough food for work, not bring enough water. So really making sure that you are fueling yourself properly. And a big thing for me personally changed when I started eating better throughout the day. So like my first year doing tree work, I found I would crash partway through the day. I would feel really sore. I wouldn't have as much energy. And as soon as I started keeping food up with me in the tree, and sometimes I get made fun of for always having snacks, but it honestly, when I start to get the sense of like, and for me, it's not a sense of hunger. It's usually like, I start to feel a bit less motivated. I start to get a bit frustrated. I kind of just want to get the job done, get out of the tree, hurry up. And I'm not feeling as good. And that's when I know, oh, I need to eat something, and take the minute. If you don't have food with you, get someone to send something up to you and feel your body, because you're not only going to be able to think better during your day, but you are already starting the recovery process by giving yourself some nutrients while you are, doing such a physical job. A thing too is to think about like, what's the macronutrients that you are giving yourself during the day. So it's really important to have like a balanced amount of nutrients. So, just eating a bagel that's a lot of carbs is not going to sustain you and provide you with the recovery that you need for doing true work. So something that has like good quality protein is really important. I like to keep like grass-fed beef jerky with me, an apple. I sometimes use baby food packets because they're really easy to keep in my pocket. And if I get oil on me or something, like it's not gonna be an apple where it could get really dirty. So yeah, like I could talk a lot about nutrition, but the big thing is like, what are for you when you start to notice your kind of your energy and your clarity is going down. Keep yourself up with eating like a high quality snack that has protein in it to help keep your blood sugars balanced.
Can I make a quick comment on that same vein?
Yeah.
So I don't mean to interrupt you, but I was a hardcore breakfast person for like my whole life until about the last 2 years. I would always eat breakfast every morning. Wasn't much of a coffee drinker, swore by it. But in the last couple years, I've switched to just drinking water, a lot of water in the morning, having some coffee with oil in it, oil butter. And then I don't eat anything till almost 2 after that. And I have never had more energy. Like I don't get the afternoon slump anymore. I've pretty much occasionally now I'll bring just nuts and things to have a quick snack sometime around 11. But it's I went from crashing hard twice a day, like sometime around 10 and then again right around 2, to pretty much not ever feeling tired during the day anymore because of that one change. I mean, I didn't really change anything else. My routine is pretty much the same otherwise. But like you said, the not having carbs in the morning made all the difference in the world for me, and maintaining that like I just couldn't believe how much of a difference that made in my work performance and how I felt and my energy levels and my focus, just not having carbs first thing, and then not having it until, if I have any, it's like in the evening. So
Yeah.
it was super counterintuitive. I'm climbing every day, super like a lot of exertion, a lot of energy output, but just actually waiting to eat until much later made all the difference in the world.
So,
I'm sure that because I that's where I feel like I could talk so long with nutrition, and it's good to have that awareness on how you feel, because and try different types of diets in a sense, or different ways of eating that work for you, because I do that as well, where I do coffee and oil in the morning. And I tried it for a bit by not eating until later in the day, and I found that works best for me is like high protein and fat. For breakfast I'll have like a lot of ground beef with like some broccoli and olive oil, and that keeps me like really full until the afternoon. And I too, like, I don't eat carbs till the evening, because I think the key is like finding a way to eat that keeps your blood sugars balanced. So whether that's having less carbs or combining your carbs with protein, eating your carbs later in the day, just finding ways to eat food that keeps you full and not crashing. And
it's such a big deal.
Yeah.
I used to fall asleep on the drive home like 15 minutes. Like I was just crashing hard, but that just doesn't happen anymore if I don't eat carbs during the morning and during the early afternoon.
I've noticed as well, Kirsten, that recently I started eating like a bowl of fruit. So I do like frozen fruit in the morning with cherries and various berries and fruits, and then I have oatmeal with it, and a few nuts on top, and like my energy is totally changed. I'm definitely not going through those crashes that I was before. And it's like I'm not as hungry at lunch. I can just eat a few more nuts and keep going, and I have energy. Versus before, it was like I got to get something, and I'd go do something stupid like get a big old hamburger, you know what I mean? And then you just crash again. But it's just changed the way that I feel recently quite a bit.
Yeah, that's good. I think that comes down to the other note of like the quality of the nutrients that you're putting in your body. Like, yeah, hamburger might have protein, but like if you're getting a fast food, anything fast food, like the quality of nutrients that you're getting, it's not going to supply your body with enough. And by having oats, even though that's different than actually what we were talking about, because that's more of a carb-based meal, but it's a complex carb that releases slower. And by combining like some nuts in it that have some fats, some proteins, it's more of a balanced meal that'll keep you full. So I think that's super awesome that you have the awareness for that and it's working for you. And that's the biggest thing, is just to be aware and then notice what makes you feel better and what doesn't. It's an ongoing process with your health, and things change as you age and as your activity changes. So yeah, thank you guys so much. Anytime anyone has some thoughts, like totally just shout them out. It definitely makes this talk a lot better. Cool. So the next thing is hydration. So I separate that from nutrition just because water is so important. Like you can definitely, if you keep your hydration up, you can go for longer periods of time without having food. So again, it's one of those things. Sometimes people make fun of me on Instagram, so I'll bring like a liter of water on the back of my harness, but it literally is like, it makes such a big difference, because once you start to get into feeling dehydrated, to come back from that takes so much longer than if you just stay on top of your water intake. So yeah, I just recommend people keep a water with them, bring a water in the tree with you, drink consistently throughout the day, like even little bits. Like it doesn't have to be a lot. You don't have to drink 2 liters. I mean, yeah, that would be great. But even if you just can keep up with it during the day, you will recover a lot faster to get back out the next day.
So I live in California and it's hot. And in the summer, if you didn't hydrate hard the night before, I don't care how much you drink, you can't stay on top of it during the day. So when it's hot out, what I drank the night before and the morning before work and the hours before, it matters way more than anything. I mean, I could be absolutely pounding water the whole time in the tree and not keep up on it if I didn't prep ahead of time. So that was another big change that made a huge difference in my ability to survive the heat.
Yeah. Hold on one second, Kirsten. Dakota's got a question for you.
Okay. Yeah. So we're on the topic of hydration, but speaking about like food and nutrition, lately I switched my diet up completely, and I don't know if I'm necessarily doing things the right way, but I know it's been really good for me. I started eating beets, mushrooms, and spinach. I cook them and then I have like a whole week worth of it, and I eat it before work, and it keeps me completely full throughout the entire day. And it's just been really like helpful for me, just eating something that's, I don't know if it's because it's just like a vegetable or what, but it's been extremely helpful. And so it's just an important conversation to have right now about nutrition.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's amazing. I think you have a great combo of some veggies there. And they've got good carbs, some protein, like some fats even. And it sounds like, it's keeping you full, and that's what's important. And, having vegetables, like there's so much nutrients in that. I think that's absolutely amazing that you found a meal that works. I think that's great. Yeah. I think that's awesome. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Kirsten, may I ask a question to the audience real quick?
Yeah.
Hey, how many of you guys are either in like the desert area, like Arizona, Utah, New Mexico, California desert area, or in high altitude areas? Okay, Chris. Okay. So Kirsten can clarify a little bit more on this, I'm sure, but one thing that I deal with out here, and I think Josiah might deal with it too. What altitude are you at, Josiah?
There we go. I'm not that high, between 2,000 and 4,000 usually.
Okay. Yeah. My average work altitude is somewhere around 7,000 feet above sea level. And
That
I
makes
go
a
all the way
difference.
up to like 11,000 feet in work, right? What happens to me, and this happened to me in Arizona when my parents lived in Kingman too, is that sometimes you won't even sweat like you think you should. And it'll just be wicking it out of you. And you'll get so dehydrated just because of the lack of humidity in the air. So if you guys are ever in those areas, definitely be cautious of that too. It's not like a traditional dehydration. It's like very much an ambient, unnoticeable dehydration. And it can really it's given me vertigo at the top of a tree before, which is not real good. And so it's definitely not cool to deal with that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. That's all super important stuff to consider. Thank you guys so much for your input. The next thing I want to chat about is movement. Anyone who's kind of been following my Instagram definitely knows I'm super passionate about movement for recovery. Oftentimes after work, we're really sore, we're tired. We might think we just need to sleep and relax and like do nothing on our weekends to recover from all the hard work. But our body needs movement to be able to transport nutrients, to have proper fluid exchange. Movement is what's going to relieve our stiffness and our soreness. And it also helps us release energy in a sense of like, if you have feelings that are kind of stuck, like movement truly does so many benefits for our bodies. But it's the type of movement that matters. So when it comes to recovery, we want like intentional low intensity exercises. So mobility is my favorite way to do this because it not only gets you moving, but it'll improve your range of motion. It activates our parasympathetic nervous system. It improves our range of motion, our posture, our alignment, and it can also help us get stronger by being able to get into a full ranges of motion. I do offer a true worker mobility program that I did put as 50% off this weekend. It's like a one-time fee and you have access to all the material for life. I do also have like lots of free mobility videos on my YouTube. It's just called Brave Roots. Other ways that you can improve your recovery with movement is just even getting outside for like a light walk, doing yoga, whatever ways you enjoy moving your body. It's really important to have the days off of your work to have some type of light movement to get nutrients flowing throughout your body, and it'll help you recover a lot faster. The next thing is breathing. So breathing is super important for our parasympathetic nervous system. Like we can instantly go from sympathetic stress to parasympathetic by using our breath. I'm sure we've all heard like by taking, slow, deep breaths, how that can be helpful for us. But if you're someone that lives most of your day in a sympathetic state, something simple you could even do is just try to incorporate a few deep breaths periodically throughout your day. So you could get up in the morning and tell yourself, okay, every morning before I get out of bed, I'm just going to take even just one deep breath. And when it's intentional and you think about breathing from like the base of your spine all the way up to the top of your head, and then with a slow exhale and you're breathing in through your nose, it really does so much for you. And it only takes like a minute. So some things you can also do throughout your workday, which I found helpful, is like maybe halfway through the day, like pause for a minute and take a couple deep breaths. And I know that might sound silly, but it just kind of centers you. It brings you back into your body. It brings you back into calm. And even though you might think, oh, like, I just want to get this done, I'll breathe when I get home. Like, you will work a lot better. Your muscles will be less tense. You'll be more fluid. You'll be stronger when you can not be in like such a stress state if you tend to get that way during your day. So taking some breaths in the morning, you could try doing it at work. You could take it on your lunch. Like, okay, before I eat my lunch, you want to take a couple deep breaths, like whatever feels good to you. It's just ideas, just to help you recover better, center your mind, and calm your body. Doing it before bed is also really helpful. Any type of calming activities before bed will help you sleep a lot better. And that's actually the next area I'm going to touch on is sleep. So sleep, obviously, it's super crucial for our body and our brain to recover. There's so many things I could go into for talking about for making your sleep better. But I guess the two big things I think that have made the biggest difference for me is incorporating some type of parasympathetic activity. Whoops, sorry. Phone's yelling at me. Some type of parasympathetic activity that you enjoy before bed. So that could be like breathing, like I was just talking about. That could be mobility or yoga, like some light movement. That could be meditation. There's tons of free apps for that. That could be journaling. It could even be playing with your kids, like any type of activity that gets you to be calm and even joyful, centered, walking outside, spending time in nature, reading a book, connecting with a loved one, like doing some type of activity where you're intentionally calming your nervous system and connecting with yourself or others. And it doesn't have to be a lot. Like even if you did like 20 minutes before bed doing something or in the evening, it can make a big difference with your sleep. The other big thing is eliminating blue light before bed. So ideally, you would want to eliminate blue light for about 2 hours before you go to bed. Now, for some people, this might be hard. And so what blue light means, that's any artificial light that is coming from your screens, your phone, your computer, your TV, your house lights. In an like ideal scenario, like we should, our lights should be dimmed and going off when the sun's going down. And that's would go with our natural circadian rhythms. So for me, like I live in a van. I am fortunate and I have red lights that I use in the evening. And yes, still sometimes it's difficult. Like if I am late and I'm cooking dinner really late, using red lights can be a bit more tricky. But your eyes do adjust. It will honestly improve your night vision, which is a bonus if you like to be outdoors at night. But it just, when we have blue light, our body doesn't produce melatonin in the same amount, because our body thinks it's daytime. And if you have lights coming at you up until you go to bed, you won't have produced enough melatonin to be able to fall asleep quickly or to stay asleep or to have a deep quality sleep, because melatonin is our sleep hormone. And it's really important for us to have that deep restorative sleep. So if you can't do 2 hours before bed, even trying to do an hour, even trying to do 30 minutes, just taking some time where you're not using a screen, you have even just doing less lights on in your house. Like I have an awesome red headlamp. It was like $20 from Amazon. You can be super cool and walk around with a headlamp in your house. Super fun. You can do it with your kids. Just
hey,
some
Kirsten,
ideas. Yeah.
I my third job is a marketing guy. What do I do about avoiding blue light at night?
Yeah. I mean, there's only so much you can do. So when it comes to like, if you're using your computer, there is a setting called flux. I don't know if you've heard of it. It changes this brightness and the tones on your laptop. So if you download Flux, it's free, and you can do a different setting too. So it like gradually the screen gets more red as the night comes. So if you're doing work at like 10 p.m. at night, your screen would probably be pretty red. It's still not great. Like it's still a screen you're looking at, but it's definitely better than having like a white light coming from your laptop. The other thing is you can get blue light blocking glasses. There's a site I like called Blue Blocks. I'm not like affiliated with them in any way, but I just like them because they are like, their glasses are like evidence tested and third party tested or whatever. So it's not like some cheap ones off Amazon that don't actually work. You can get some like really cool red glasses that'll block all the blue light. So I do find that helpful. I used to use that when I was working as a nurse at the hospital. I would wear those when I was just like at the desk charting or something, to just try to not have so much light coming at me. Did someone else have a comment there? Your question?
I was going to throw something out there.
No?
Everyone raise your hand on your thing if you have trouble falling asleep at night. Like actually getting to sleep. Yeah, if you got a video, you can raise your hand, but like I have a bunch of people without video. Okay. What Kirsten's saying is really critical for falling asleep. I've got one other like little hack I use. Everything she's saying is super relevant. But she's using the term breathing. There's a specific breathing trick that almost always will get me to sleep when my mind is just going, because I'm super ADHD. If I get right off of something that I was really focused on, like doing some serious editing or like just thinking about, sometimes the mind will swirl about the day if something didn't go right, or if it was just a particularly stressful day, or if I've got one tomorrow. This is the breathing trick I do. It's two parts. Part one is a game of don't move a muscle, where you lay in bed and every time you want to twitch, you got to remind yourself not to move. So you try to lay in bed as still as you possibly can. And then the other, and while you're doing that, I will think through, like, how many of you guys have ever seen a performance of someone who does like hypnotisms? Have you guys ever seen like one of those like hypnotist performances where they get up and they've got this little like mantra where they tell them you're getting more and more tired and blah, blah, blah? Am I the only one who's done that? Damn. Okay, so it's actually a trick that hypnotists use to get a person into a different state of mind. It's nothing voodoo. It's not magical. It's just like it's breath work, more or less. But basically, there's this mantra that they'll often say is, take a deep breath and breathe out. And every time you breathe out, you're getting more and more tired. Your muscles are relaxing. Your feet are relaxing. Your legs are relaxing. And I will like literally in my mind tell myself, every time I breathe out, I'm getting more and more tired. And I literally, this is just talking to myself in my mind while I'm not moving. Every time I breathe out, I'm getting more and more relaxed. I'm getting more and more tired. You're sinking into your bed. Your pillow is so soft. And I'll just like tell myself this. And what I'll do is with the breathing part, so that 90 something % of the population has this thing called, it's a respiratory arrhythmia. So your heart rate is somewhat tied to your breathing rate. So if you were to, and you could probably all check if you've got it right now, you can put your finger on your pulse. And if you were to take a deep breath in and hold it, you can actually feel your heart rate speed up a little bit. And then as you breathe out, if you make a nice long, deep exhale, you'll actually feel your heart rate slow down a little bit. And it's pretty common. Not everyone has it, but it's pretty common. So you can use that to artificially reduce your heart rate if you're in that parasympathetic mode where you're still kind of anxious. So if you're laying there, you're being still, you're telling yourself your body's relaxing, your muscles relaxing, you're being really intentional about not moving at all. And then what you do is you count to 1 on your inhale, 1, 2, or whatever. Make a little bit of fast inhale, and then be really intentional about a long exhale. And so because you're focusing now on your breathing, you're not thinking about whatever was going on before, but also that long exhale is reducing your heart rate on average. And so that's also going to trigger your body to relax and to get into that sleep mode. And so if I actually want to fall asleep, I can always do that and it will put me to sleep. I've never had that not work unless I'm too stressed and decide not to do it. And I just decide I'm going to think about whatever I'm thinking about. But that's my little falling asleep trick from one high-strung ADHD guy to, I imagine, a few others.
Yeah, Josh, those methods do work. You're not alone on that. I've tried that before, and it does have a lot of success for ADHD.
Yeah, thank you, Josiah, for sharing that. That's such a great way. And that's why when I touch on like all these different areas, they all like interact and they all impact each other, and finding even just a couple little things that you can do, like you can make so many awesome improvements to recover better, to feel better. The last area that I'm just going to touch on that's super important is, I just call it mindset, but this includes like your mental health, your spirituality, your connection with yourself and the world. It's such a huge, important part of our health, and how you take care of your mind. It looks different for everyone. Like I feel most centered and calm and connected when I spend time in nature. And for me, that looks different than just than work. So I know we work with trees and that's amazing. But I also need to have time where I'm kind of on my own in nature. I like to get out I just call it like a nature walk, where I can have like time with myself, there's truly is a lot of benefits from being around trees, being in nature. It's shown to improve our mental health. But I know when I'm feeling really drained, if I go for a walk in nature, that's connecting with myself. That's also some light movement. It really helps me recover and reconnect with myself again. So it's just important to consider, like, what are the things that you love to do that help you connect with yourself or connect with others, that improve your mental health, improve your sense of spirituality. If you believe you have a sense of spirituality, like whatever that looks like to you, doing the things that you truly love, it improves your well-being, and then it also improves your work. So it's kind of a broad area. I'm not going to go into too much detail with. It's just kind of another piece to consider, that like your mind, your sense of well-being, your sense of purpose is so important. How do you connect with yourself, and how can you incorporate that into every day of your life? Because you should get to do things that you love every day. And yes, we might all love our work, but there's probably other little things that make us just feel so good. And it's important to do that because that'll improve our health. So the last thing I'm going to just chat about is accountability. So this might all sound really great, but how are you actually going to implement changes and stick to it? Something that I've learned that's helpful when you're wanting to make change is linking the change that you want to make. So if it's improving your health, and maybe it's drinking more water, just to pick something simple, if you link that to your highest values. So to do this, though, you kind of need to understand what your highest values are. Dr. John Demartini has a quiz online that goes through figuring out what your highest values are if you don't know them. And I found that super helpful. But let's say, for example, you truly deeply value providing for your family. And if you can associate in your mind, okay, if I drink this water, I am going to be able to recover better, feel better. I'm going to be able to work a lot better and be able to provide for my family. I will need less days off. I'll be able to get more work done, or I'll feel better. So that way when I get home, I'll be able to be present and actually have fun. And so just kind of considering in whatever way that looks to you, consider what's the change you want to make. If you find you're not sticking to it, okay, what is the most important thing to you that you would always do? And linking that to what's most important to you. Another way to be accountable is you can obviously hire a coach. You can invest in a program. I am super passionate about health. If you want to send me any messages, any questions, if you want to work with me, I'm super happy to help anyone. And yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this presentation. It's my first time doing it. So if you guys have any feedback, I would love to hear. You can send me a chat on Zoom. You can send me a message on Instagram. I would be happy to chat with any of you and hear from you guys at any time.
That was awesome, Kirsten. Thank you so much. In fact, Dakota said this was the best way to start the webinar. So
Woo-hoo!
Very good. Yeah, very
like,
good.
I would have, I'd love to have some more visuals for you guys, but of course, my laptop broke on me when my van flooded.
Oh no!
And it was really cold. My pipes broke, my van flooded, my laptop broke. That's just part of living in a van, but it's okay.
But you got through it.
Yeah, it's great. So I'm glad the presentation was still good and you guys enjoyed it. So
yeah, it was really good. I think everybody took something. There was something there I think everybody could benefit from. So that's awesome.
Amazing.
Go ahead. Okay, you just broke up there a little bit. I didn't mean to cut you off.